Half Sword, a physics-based medieval combat game that has selfishly absorbed all of my spare time for the last 2 weeks. From the janky ragdoll physics to the gruesome gameplay and the beautifully historically accurate arms and armor, the wave-based mechanics will keep you on the edge of your seat, ready to beat, smash, and slice and dice any souls unfortunate enough to cross your path, despite constant defeat, at least in my case. For a free-to-play demo, I believe this shows great promise for what is to come, and like most of you, it already sits in a well-earned spot on my Steam wishlist for the coming year. I'll be splitting this video into 5 parts. To start, I'll go over the gameplay, followed by my thoughts on the visual design, then sound/music, and finally the state of its optimization before a short conclusion to finish off. So let's get into it. As previously mentioned, Half Sword features a wave-based mechanic where enemies spawn in as you progress and become more challenging the longer you remain alive. Thus, it is very important you gear up and prepare yourself for the dangers that await you in the endless darkness of the surrounding arena. You start the game with nothing but your undergarment and encounter similarly underdressed enemies wielding crude weapons like hammers, wooden shovels, candlesticks, and even simple gardening tools. Upon defeating enough foes, you will encounter your first boss with perhaps the most overpowered weapon in my experience, the Scythe, which you can literally slice your combatants in half with. Do be careful, however, it's very easy to get overconfident and end up dying from recklessness. Flailing around will only get you so far in this game. But if you have to restart, it's okay. In the settings, you can adjust the damage you take and dish out to NPCs, so easy mode is just a couple sliders away. Regardless, the addictive factor for me personally is the sheer diversity of weapons and armor you can acquire and the skill needed to use them effectively. I still suck with polearms, and they've been my downfall more than any other weapons combined. I also appreciate that after you've collected your ideal weapons and have dressed yourself in a full suit of armor, that the final boss is simply you, and all you've become, except your doppelganger has a considerably larger health pool. I mean, who wouldn't want a chance to unalive themselves in a game like this? One of the best feelings you can experience is finding that last piece of armor you were needing to become an untouchable tank, allowing you to take on multiple foes at a time and swatting them away with ease. But what captivates me the most beyond the test of skill and the various collectibles is the aesthetic the developers have gone for. I'm a huge history nerd, especially for the Middle Ages, and it's refreshing to see a game so realistic, at least in appearance, without the excessive flair fantasy worlds often bring to the mix. I'll talk more about this in the next section, but I feel more connected and immersed by the developers' attention to detail. Half Sword was developed with Unreal Engine 5, giving it a native high graphical look with its lighting, textures, and polygons per asset. As someone with intermediate experience with 3D modeling software and game design tools, I feel confident in saying that the developers have used these programs to wonderful effect. I appreciate having the player look through their helmet visor in first person, creating the protective yet claustrophobic feeling of fighting in medieval dress. Of course, graphics are only one aspect of game design, and can be easily overlooked if not applied properly. But with regards to the demo and my previous statements on historical accuracy, again, I give the developers 5 out of 5 on their ability to utilize Unreal Engine's enhancements to have the game resemble a true-to-life 15th century combat experience. The deep red thickness of the blood, the sparks that fly when metal weapons scrape against armor, and the entrails that burst upon a belly slash all come together in forming a cohesive theme of guts and glory. The attention to detail in the design of the weapons, like the various flanged maces, jagged falchions, or mighty poleaxes, are perfectly in sync with the appropriate barbute or Germanic sallet helmets, and assorted breastplates and their variants, each offering increasing levels of protection. The demo is set in the 15th century, just before the height of plate armor and its design, covering the wearer from head to toe and granting seeming invincibility that is also portrayed in the Half Sword demo endgame. A visually pleasing game must have equally satisfying sound to complete the recipe for a memorable experience. Half Sword again achieves this by the non-cliché sound effects, like the heavy metallic impacts on wooden surfaces, the player's cushioned footsteps, and the sound of torn flesh and its accompanied cries of pain. On top of the sound effects, the demo's music finishes the medieval vibe with the sound of lutes and other stringed instruments, the choppy percussion of drums, and old woodwind melodies with the low bass strings for the final touch. Each song is unique in its sound and blends easily with the tense combat. This is especially noticeable with the boss music that always plays after a moment of silence, a calm before the storm. In this clip, we hear what I believe is a bagpipe with staccato lute strings and low drum beats, tailed by male vocals that sound like a war cry to create the atmosphere of battle. Honestly, most of the songs, in my opinion, absolutely slap. This tune is one of my favorites, and the beat is fire. Have a listen. Rewinding back to the final boss, the music for this duel gives me serious Soulsborne vibes. Some of the physics interactions in the demo are questionable, but being in demo status gives the developers a complete pass on minor bugs and random glitches as far as I'm concerned. And as previously stated, technical slip-ups just add to the overall experience, really. For how far the demo has come, I think it could already pass as its own full-fledged game, which makes me all the more excited for the final product. It's just a compliment to the gameplay when a limb gets stuck in an awkward position. Or maybe your weapon clips inside of your opponent.
You're my friend now. We're having soft tacos later.
I've fallen and I can't get up.
Well, the Half Sword demo shows amazing promise, and I can't wait for the full release. I know the devs have a channel where they posted their most recent update, though it is kind of old news by now, but I'll link it in the description below. They also have an active Discord I personally haven't looked into, but I would encourage anyone interested in recent news to join for more regular updates. I know there's also an older version of this demo on itch.io, which is more confined and you don't have as much freedom of weapon choice, but it's still fun if you just want to see how far the demos come. All I really want is for the demos to allow a multiplayer option, as I feel that would be both hilarious to take part in with team battles and one-on-one duels, and just open a more competitive feel. I plan to make a tips and tricks video if this one performs well, not that I'm a pro or anything, but I have found some more optimal weapon choices to make it farther in the game. I hope you all enjoyed the video and my take on the demo. Subscribe if you haven't, and like the video if you learned something new. And if you made it to the end, comment your favorite weapon from this era so I know you made it. I'll catch you all in the next one.